Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first Leaders Public Question Time. I'm Robin Campbell, Head of Communications at the London Borough of Southwark. Before we start the meeting proper, just a few housekeeping announcements to make very quickly. First, there are no planned fire alarm tests today, so if you hear the fire evacuation alarm, which is an announcement telling you to evacuate the building, please leave by the nearest fire exit and make your way to the agreed assembly point, which is in Pottersfields Park, adjacent to City Hall, and staff will be available to direct you. The public toilets are located on the lower floor at the back and at the back of the gallery. Please can you switch your mobile phone to silent during the event? Members of the public are welcome to film, audio record, photograph or tweet the public proceedings of the meeting, and we would ask you to be considerate towards other people in the room. The code for accessing the City Hall Wi-Fi is GLA guest. There is also a hearing induction loop in the chamber. Thank you very much indeed for your cooperation. And it's now with great pleasure that I'm introducing our facilitator for the evening, Jumoke Fashola. Jumoke is an award-winning journalist, radio and TV presenter, famed jazz singer and local resident. Jumoke. Oh, actually, you don't need that, sorry.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? I am switched on. I'm looking at Jack there, who's a round of applause for our technical team because they're going to be doing some marvellous work tonight. Thank you all for coming out, and it's a real delight to be here. I've been a Southwark resident for about 10 years. I live in the borough, I sleep in the borough, I wash in the borough, so I'm delighted to be here. So it's a real privilege to be here. There are several aspects to tonight. Just so you're aware, if I can give you the shape of what's going to happen, that will help us with proceedings. So we have had questions submitted by email, Facebook, Twitter, you know, all the social media things. How many people here are on social media? Just give me a show of hands. How many people might be tweeting? Oh, look at quite a lot of you who can follow me, Jumoke Fashola. Follow your leader, don't follow me. We also will be taking questions from the floor, that is all of you. But we do have limited time, as you can imagine. So I would really appreciate it if you could keep your questions as succinct as possible. And that means no epistles. I don't want to know about your life story. I just want the question. Is that all right with everyone? Okay, because when I give you the evil eye, you'll know why I'm giving you the evil eye. So we need to keep these questions as tight as we possibly can, just so we can get through everything. There are roving microphones. Just where are my people with the microphones, holding microphones? Those lovely ladies there. They will come to you, so I would ask for an indication by you putting up your hand, if that would be all right. There are council officers as well who you can speak to afterwards if you have a particular issue that you really want to be solved. Please identify yourself, i.e. if you're from a particular organisation, please feel free to say I'm from this particular organisation or just give your name. That would be helpful to us as well. Just so you can start to think about what we're going to be talking about tonight, we're going to be talking about regeneration and council housing. We're going to be talking about health and environment, housing, that is in terms of management, supporting families, and community safety. Give me an indication in this room, anyone who thinks immediately, yes, I do have a question. Okay. Okay, great. So I will be doing those, we'll be doing those segment by segment, so I'll tell you what segment we're in, and if you have a question pertaining to that, then please ask during that segment, that would be great. So now to our leader, let me just introduce him to you. He's been the leader of Southwark Council since May 2010. Was appointed London Council's Executive Member for Children's Skills and Employment in 2012. He became a barrister in 1988. He was elected as a councillor for South Camberwell Ward in 2002. And after serving as Group Chief Whip, became leader of Southwark Labour in 2004. He was re-elected leader of Southwark Council following the last local elections in May 2014. And he has just been named as one of the 1,000 most influential Londoners by the Evening Standard for the second year running. Please welcome Councillor Peter John.
Thank you, Jumoke.
Please. Lovely to be in these esteemed sort of this venue, etc. Thank you for inviting us into your home.
Thank you for doing this for us.
Why did you want to have a leaders' public question time?
Good question, Jamoki. Well, let me answer it in this way. The last 4.5 years, my colleagues and I, my cabinet colleagues who are here, and Labour group colleagues, have been thinking about ways in which we can improve democracy in our borough, so that we can make our decision-making more visible and more open and more transparent. And one of the ways we did that was trying to revamp our council assembly meetings. However hard we've tried, it's been difficult to get many hundreds of people along to a council assembly meeting, and so we've looked at other ways. And tonight really is a bit of an experiment to see, you know, me putting myself forward here tonight, interacting, taking questions from members of the public, residents of our borough, finding out what their concerns and issues are. And hopefully people here will feel that this is a worthwhile experiment and experience. But can I just say this as well, Jamoki, by way of starting off. Southwark is an incredibly exciting borough. I don't need to tell you that. You know, you just look outside the door, what's going on around us. Southwark increasingly is becoming part of central London, I think. But we as a council aren't just sitting back and observing that. I think we're helping to shape things and helping to shape the debate, not just in Southwark or in London, but in local government as a whole. Whether it's through our commitment to build 11,000 new council homes, whether it's through our commitment to make swimming and gym use free for all of our residents, whether it's on the fact that we've delivered free healthy school meals for primary school children over the past 4 years, and all the things that we're doing for young people in our borough. You know, we really are leading the way, and I think shaping future Southwark. So, you know, I think there are lots of things for us to talk about. I really do welcome the opportunity to answer questions which I have no idea about.
Right, you have no idea yet. Well, tonight. Thank you for that. In fact, interestingly enough, some of the questions we have tonight do pertain to the very things that you've just mentioned. But I'll just start off with an email from Cathy O'Brien, who says, how will Southwark Council ensure that the borough retains its vibrant culture in the event of the loss of diversity in neighbourhoods where house prices are rising and local people and their families cannot afford to stay anymore?
Yeah, I think that's one of the key challenges which faces us as a council. How do we ensure we retain the mixed communities that we all value and treasure in our borough? And that really is why we have made the commitment that we have to build 11,000 new council homes, 1,500 of those over the next 4 years. Because we recognise, you know, that it's going to be increasingly difficult for people to stay in the area in which they grew up in. We are leading the way in London in terms of the housing that we're delivering, something like 1,650 new homes every year. Over the last 3 years, we've built more affordable homes in Southwark than any other borough in London, by more than 200. Over 1,600 affordable homes delivered in the past 3 years. And that mission continues because we recognise that we need homes you know, for all people of all economic backgrounds and circumstances, people of no income and high income. And that's why we are, you know, that's why we're so keen to see house building happen in our borough.
Well, let's go into our regeneration and council housing section now. So if you do have a question in that area, please start to bear it in mind. Gerald Anderson has asked via email, you say you are building 11,000 homes over the next 30 years to ease the housing situation. Southwark has 16,000 on its waiting list. How can you say that you're trying to solve the problem when you are not building affordable housing in a way that is going to reduce the housing waiting list?
Well, I think it will reduce the housing waiting list.
But it won't cover 16,000.
It won't cover 16,000. It won't cover actually 18,000, which I think is the accurate number for people on our waiting list at the moment. But look, if we say we're not going to build any council housing, that's not solving the problem either. There is no other council in this country which has made a commitment to build 11,000 council homes. If it were so easy, you know, why isn't everybody doing it? We're doing it because what we did over the last 4 years was have a housing commission that looked at our council housing in the borough, that looked at what we could afford to retain and what we could afford to build in the future. And that's why we were able to make the commitment that we have. You know, so 11,000 isn't going to be the answer to everyone's problems. I know that, but it's 11,000 more council homes than would have been delivered if we'd sat back and said, not our responsibility.
Well, Barry Duckett uses this phrase, which has been in the ether a lot recently. How are the Cabinet going to stop the so-called social cleansing of council tenants from Southwark? Are the new council homes being built by Southwark to be let at the prices that they are now, or will new tenants pay a higher rate than existing tenants?
New council homes that are built will be let at social rents, at council rents. They'll be no different to the rents that current tenants pay. That's our commitment. You know, there's no strings to this, no sort of secret, you know, actually once you get into the property you're going to pay more. You'll be paying council rents. These are council homes. And, you know, given that the average council rent in Southwark for a two-bed property is something in the region of £120 a week, you know, that is affordable housing for everyone in our borough, you know, genuinely affordable. Okay.
Solboy via Twitter says, why did you side with the developer Lend-Lease against the council tenants on the Haygate estate, whom you're supposed to represent? And just going on from that, Terence Redpath on Facebook said, do you agree that leaseholders on the Haygate and Aylesbury estates have been dealt with appallingly?
No,
and there's much consensus in this room.
No, I don't agree. Look, the Haygate, the regeneration of the Elephant and Castle. Elephant and Castle, let me just say this. Elephant and Castle is further north than Victoria in London. It is Zone 1 central London, yet it does not provide the economic opportunities for our residents that I believe it should do. And for over 20 years, or for about 20 years, the council has been putting together a project to regenerate the Elephant and Castle. We signed a deal with Lend-Lease in July 2010, shortly after taking office. That was at the end of a 5-year procurement process. So not started under Labour, but started under the previous administration. And we signed that deal. And that deal will deliver something like 2,500 homes on the Haygate site. Homes of mixed tenure, homes that are at target rents, social rents, homes which are shared ownership, homes which are at 50% of market rent, and homes which are for market sale. That is delivering a mixed community at the Elephant and Castle. And bear in mind, across the whole Elephant Opportunity area, something like 1,700 affordable homes will be delivered as part of this project, which is more than you had on the Haygate to start with, by something like 500 or 600. Now, you asked me about leaseholders. On the Haygate, something like 176 of 179 leaseholders were able to agree terms with, and we were able to acquire their homes, and they moved either into a different property where they took a share of equity, or they could revert to a council tenancy. At the Aylesbury, it's a slightly different deal because people can move in, leaseholders can move to a new home with Notting Hill, who are going to be building at the Aylesbury. And the home that they move into, they preserve the equity, the value of the equity they have in the home that they move into. They pay no rent on the difference between the value of the property that they're moving into and their value of their equity, or they pay as service charges as they would if they'd remained living on the Aylesbury estate. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, that is, some people might not like it, but that is a good deal. And that is a deal which, again, is equal to any that is being offered in any scheme elsewhere in London.
Okay, let me take a show of hands on the question of regeneration and council housing. The lady that, where are my people? Right, actually, if you go, I can't quite see, where is the ladies? Where are you? Oh, we're still waiting to switch on a microphone. Is your microphone switched on? Okay, can I go to the lady there again, please, for brevity in asking the question. The lady in the pink there, first of all.
Oh. I'm Teresa Connolly from Friends of the Earth. Peter knows me well. Not always in a friendly term, but...
Mostly.
You're not going to like what I'm going to ask.
Go on.
Fair enough, I have to warn you. 11,000 new homes. Marvellous. Brilliant. But that wasn't the feeling when I went to a Southwark Group of Tenants Association meeting the other day. They didn't like that at all because they felt that wasn't quite what they were going to be offered.
What's the question?
The question is, these 11,000 homes, are they really going to be affordable?
Are the 11,000
Well,
homes going to be
possibility?
affordable?
I've kind of answered that already. These are properties which will be council homes at council rents, the same equivalent to the rents that you pay in council properties now in the borough. I can't be clearer than that, and I don't know why that is somehow objectionable or unacceptable. I think a council which is committed to building 11,000 new council homes, and 1,500 of those in this 4-year period, should be applauded, not criticised. I don't understand it.
Okay. I'm going to take this lady there, and then I'm going to take the leader. I'm going to take a question from over there. So first, this lady here. Again, please, I do ask you to just ask the question. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Good evening. I'm Naomi Newstead, the prospective Conservative MP for Camfell and Peckham. I'm here with the leaseholders on the Aylesbury estate this evening, and I've got a question about that. They're obviously being forced to sell their homes back to the council to facilitate the regeneration, but the value that they're being offered is only a fraction of the cost of an equivalent flat if you were to buy an ex-council property in the area now. And obviously, they've worked so hard, and this is everything about their security, their future, and their home.
The question?
The question is, can you please give them the equivalent market value for an ex-council property in the area? It could be valued by an independent estate agent, and that would give the ability to stay in the area, buy something else, or at least take a reasonable share of equity back in new development.
Thank you for that question.
Okay.
Leader?
Yeah, I mean, a preliminary observation, I think it would be quite sensible if you also spoke to your colleagues in government and said to them, why are they scurrying around the Aylesbury estate telling people to exercise their right to buy on the one hand, when another arm of government is funding us in the purchase of people's leasehold interests. So I don't think there's much joined up thinking going on at higher levels of government. But look, in respect to your question, the market value is not just plucked from the air, by somebody sitting in an office in Southwark. It is what the market value is determined. And if people don't like it, they can take it to a tribunal to be determined. And in some circumstances, they do. But we are limited by statute in terms of what we can pay out. We can only pay out what the assessed market value is, plus 10%, plus people's removal costs. And the sad reality is that properties on the Aylesbury estate are not worth as much as equivalent properties down the road. I saw a TV programme the other day where it was trying to draw similarities between a home on the Aylesbury and a new build property at Bermondsey Spa. They're not the same. They're very different. The way and the method of construction of Aylesbury homes sometimes means they're unmortgageable. You can't go to a bank or building society to get a mortgage for them. That's the reality these days. So, they have a limited value. We pay the market value. If you can demonstrate that the market value is worth a lot more than we're offering, obviously we have to look at that. But in most circumstances, people cannot demonstrate that. That's the reality.
Okay, I'm going to take a question. I will come back to you, ma'am, but I'm going to take a question here.
Thanks very much. My name's Councillor Anoud Al-Samarai. I'm the leader of the opposition of Southwark Council, and I'm also very proud I represent Riverside Ward, where we are tonight. So welcome to Riverside Ward, and thank you, Jamoke, very much for giving up your evening.
Okay, all right. I'll do the heckling.
I think that's up to the chair, thank you. I just want to say, Peter, I welcome the idea of trying to engage people more. I have to say, I think what would really engage people is letting go of power, including planning decisions, and letting go of money through community council. So while this is all laudable, a bit more letting go would be fantastic. My question is about housing. I think it's important that you judge about record rather than promises in 30 years' time. The record over the last 4 years is that you've sold or demolished over 1,000 council homes and you've built 33. And the other thing that really troubles me is last week at the International Developers Conference, where Southwark is the great love of the developers, the stand, Southwark Council's backdrop, like that, on Southwark Council's stand, said 11,000 homes would be a mix of private and social. No wonder people are terrified that actually a promise doesn't mean council homes, and no wonder people are terrified that they're not going to be able to afford to live in the area they've grown up.
Okay, so the question really is around, are these promises that will be fulfilled, or are they just numbers that are being plucked out from wherever in the hope that we'll get it through?
Yeah, no, look, to address that final point head on, Anoud, I'm concerned what you say about that, because I'm absolutely clear, and all my colleagues are absolutely clear, 11,000 council homes means 11,000 council homes. Those council homes will be part of a mix. You know, you might end up with 30,000 properties in the grand scheme of things, but 11,000 of those will be council properties. There might be some shared ownership, and there might be some private for sale. But that doesn't mean or water down or diminish that commitment to build 11,000 council homes. But look, I mean, you know, we argued the point well during the last local elections about our commitment to council housing, and we have absolutely been consistent in saying that we will deliver 1,500 council homes over this 4-year period, and that's pretty difficult one to run away from, and you will no doubt be holding me to account if we don't deliver it. We already have planning or on site in respect of the first 300. We've got draft plan to deliver those first 1,500. And what I think is really encouraging, Jamoki, is when you talk to people on estates such as the Canada estate in the north of the borough or the Leather Market JMB, who are coming forward to us and saying, we've got sites that you can deliver new council homes on. I'm absolutely passionate about council housing and believe in council housing. And the concept of it, that's why we wanted to make sure through the Housing Commission we could carry on and look after it properly for future generations. You know, I really do wholeheartedly believe in the concept of council housing. We wouldn't have made the commitment otherwise, and I'm absolutely genuine in determination to deliver on it.
Okay, thank you. I feel like we've been biased on this side. Are there any questions on this side? One question for regeneration. No? Okay. Yes? Can I see a hand? Sir? Okay, and then that gentleman, then I've got to come back to one or the other.
The reason I put my hand up, it's my quote that was first, so I'd quite like to respond.
Right, can I come back to you, please? I will come back to you.
Okay, thank you, Jumoke. Firstly, before I give my name, I want to thank John for giving us the opportunity to have debates like this. Preferably, what we will want, all your cabinet members should be having debates like this in estates. Those people who are not capable to come here will be able to do. Accountability starts from home.
Okay.
My name is Alisa Munu. I'm a committee member of the Rockingham Community Association. I represent my community association as chair of a Borough and Bankside, and also I represent Borough and Bankside at Tenant Council. Therefore, I am here representing the tenants and residents of Southwark who are not capable to be here.
Sir, could you give me your question?
Yes, my question is about the regeneration. John, as you know full well, that I am from that particular area on the other side. Now, why is it that you demolish over 2,000 properties in the Haygate, but the mixed properties you are building in the Haygate does not include even a third of council housing?
Okay, that's the question.
Okay. Well, I mean, the actual figure is something like 1,200 homes were on the Haygate to start with. But, you know, I can take you back. Something like 600, over 600 of the new homes that are going to be delivered on the Haygate site will be affordable homes, both for rent and shared ownership. But I come back to this point that I mentioned earlier on, Jamoki. Across the wider Elephant opportunity area, over 1,700 affordable homes are being delivered, both at target rents, some at affordable rents, and some for shared ownership. So actually, we're ending up with more affordable homes across the area than we started with. And I think that's good news. I mean, it would be pretty pointless, wouldn't it, if we had demolished the Haygate estate and rebuilt the Haygate estate. I don't think that kind of makes sense. So I think the idea of trying to create genuine mixed tenure communities does make sense, and that is what we're doing at the Elephant.
Okay, I'm going to take that gentleman, and then I'm coming back to that lady, and then we're going to have to move on. Good evening, sir. Your question.
Councillor John Ken Hayes, member of Southwark Chamber of Commerce and a public governor of Guy's and St Thomas's NHS Foundation Trust. one of the problems business and public service bodies have is recruiting staff because of the lack of affordable housing in central London. This area of London went through this same problem back in the middle 1800s, when there was huge people coming in and living in expensive private housing and no affordable housing. The Victorian ancestors put that right.
Sure.
There's an article in the Evening Standard tonight, affordable housing in London. There is not one mention of Southwark in it.
Okay, all right. And so the question is, really, are we going to deliver on these affordable houses?
Look, the reality is Southwark has a proud record of delivering affordable homes, and that will continue, Ken. You know, I can't control all of the property market in London, and I can't answer all the problems in London. But there is no other council in London which has delivered more affordable housing in the last 3 years. We've delivered more than 1,600 affordable homes. Now, you know, apart from being #1 and delivering as much, you know, more affordable housing than any other borough, I'm not sure what else we can do. And surely that underlines our commitment to delivering affordable housing. Some boroughs talk a big talk about, oh, you know, we're going to deliver this much affordable housing, etc. But if you look at the tables and statistics, they're way down in terms of what they're actually delivering, you know? So we are delivering affordable housing, and that will continue. As I say, I can't control the whole property market in the borough, but what we can do is provide as much as possible for people on all sorts of different incomes.
I do need to move on, but I am going to allow this lady, Kathy, right, your question started us off. So I'm hoping you have another question rather than a comment, Kathy.
Well, my follow-on from the question is that in the question that I actually put forward was very much in terms of Southwark retaining its vibrant culture.
Yeah.
And, OK, you've linked it to the housing and so on and so forth, but in a borough where house prices are exorbitant in terms of sales, so you can't, if my children can't afford to buy in Southwark, it's far too expensive, that what we are doing is having a loss within the diversity of the neighbourhoods within Southwark, across the whole of it. So many of us now are seeing a changing culture, which also is a temporary culture. Because
okay, and your follow-on question is, sorry, I have to push you because we've got
I understand. Because what we see, therefore, is people leave, the house prices go up, and we remain, people won't stay because the primary schools they like, the secondary schools they're not so happy. So what I want to know is, what can you do about that? Okay. Because what's going on in the estates is fine, but there's a general issue of retaining people instead of us just being little gentrified areas of Southwark.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, well, I mean, it's a genuine problem, isn't it? But what we don't do is by turning off the housing supply. You answer a housing crisis by increasing the housing supply. But the point I was making earlier on, we can't just do that in Southwark alone. It's a London-wide problem. In London, last year, and the year before that, something like 26,000 new homes were built. The mayor says we need to build 52,000 new homes a year. So in Southwark, we're pulling our weight. We're doing our bit. If every borough was building as many new homes as we were, we'd be much closer to that 52,000 target than we are. So we've got to start looking outside the borough and tell other boroughs, hey, pull your finger out and help us solve London's housing crisis. Because we can't do it all on our own. And that's the reality of living in this world city that we do.
This is obviously a really contentious issue in this borough, and it's something that obviously you're aware of, but sadly we're running out of time, and I have to go to the next section. But I think we have to take on board that there are a lot of questions, and maybe people might want to feed back on that after tonight to say, you know, I wasn't able to ask my question, but I'd really like an answer. And I'm sure you're willing to take that on board.
Look, absolutely. Any questions that we don't answer tonight, then we will ensure that you get an answer to them. And you can carry on asking questions anyway of me, peter.john@southwark.gov.uk, or any of my cabinet colleagues here, and my colleagues and I will be around at the end of this evening in any event to talk to people if you've got specific issues. And people do tweet questions at me, and sometimes I even respond, you know, if they're nice questions.
There you go, modern technology. Right, we're going to move on now to health and environment. The first question came in from Sheila Taylor, who says, you said you would introduce free swimming for all Southwark residents. I go swimming regularly. This is Sheila, not me. I can't swim. I go swimming regularly at Seven Islands, but still have to pay for it. When can we expect this policy to be put into practice? And Clemency, who's on Twitter, said, and when are you going to reopen Peckham Lido?
Okay, yeah, two good questions. Well, look, the commitment that we made to free swimming and gym use absolutely will be delivered. I have said in the past that that will be delivered at the latest by 2016, and only this morning we were talking about what it might look like in terms of the offer and when we can start piloting that offer. So hopefully in the new year we might have some good news for Sheila and other residents in the borough. I think it's really important. Southwark has a really proud record of public health going back to the 1920s and 30s when it was made up of 3 different councils: Bermondsey Borough Council in the north, Southwark Borough Council and Camberwell Council. Very proud record, leading the way in health and public health. And I think one of the best things that's happened in the last couple of years is public health coming back to us as a responsibility as a council. So, our proposal to introduce free swimming and gym use is part of that public health agenda to try and tackle the obesity and health issues that we have in the borough. So it will be delivered, absolutely. 2016, the latest for the big rollout, but I hope we'll see some pilots very soon. And remind me of what the second point was.
The reopening, or possible reopening of Peckham Lido. It's legendary. Yeah. It's under the ground, apparently, currently.
It's there, and Lidos have clearly got quite a renewed popularity in recent years, and people like Brockwell Lido and the Lido in Hackney. Look, I can't say that we've got the money to do it as a council, but what we certainly will do is work with those who campaigned and support.
So you would support it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'll look at ways in which that can be delivered, because I think there are all sorts of sports funds and organisations, Sport England, that might be very willing to donate, and the Lottery Fund and things to make that a reality. But it's something that absolutely, anything which opens up the possibility for more people to do more sporting and health events in their lives is going to be welcomed by us.
Okay, well, that's good news for Peckham Lido then.
Yeah.
Moving on to Gabby Charing, I hope that is how it's pronounced, via email. What is the council doing to address the health needs of LGBT people in Southwark? For example, it's not referenced in the Joint Strategic Needs Assessment. Okay,
well, I mean, we know Jamaica, we have a large LGBT community in Southwark, and we have particularly high incidence of HIV both in Lambeth and in Southwark. In Southwark, we're second only to Lambeth. So it's really important that we do address those issues, and part of the public health work that we do addresses that. And in fact, the LGBT community gets support both from sort of those in teenage years right through all ages get support, because there are issues relating to mental health and bullying for younger LGBT people, and there are issues of loneliness and other for older people. You know, the same as issues that face everyone in the community. But there are dedicated streams of programs, which I was being told about just a few days ago, that the LGBT community do benefit from, and that commitment to supporting the LGBT community in our public health work absolutely continues.
And just to be clear, of course, that people with HIV/AIDS may not necessarily be LGBT. They can be from any walk of life.
Absolutely,
so.
Yeah.
Peter Juan, who is on Twitter, says it feels incredibly unsafe to cycle in your borough. What are you about to do? What are you going to do about it, please?
We just yesterday, and my colleague Mark Williams, direct all your questions to him at the end of the evening. But we
stand up, Mark.
we just yesterday at our cabinet meeting, we approved a new cycling strategy for Southwark to go out to consultation. And, you know, that has several objectives. One is to make cycling, an absolutely preferred mode of getting about for people, equal to walking. But it's about making cycling safe. I've been a real advocate for safe cycling in our borough over the last few years. We've had too many tragic road deaths involving cyclists in our borough, and you know, I and my colleagues have led the calls for action on that, both at a borough level and at a London-wide level, whether it be for an HGV, rush hour ban or whatever. But I believe our cycling strategy will make a real step change difference. It will introduce new routes, safe cycling routes across our borough. I think the way in which we're thinking about cycling has completely changed. over the last 12 months, and I think people really will see a difference in cycling safety. You know, the fact that we've introduced a 20-mile-per-hour zone in the borough also helps. You know, a lot of road accidents and serious injury and death are linked to the impact and the speed of impact between vehicles and cyclists. And in a borough such as Islington, where they've had a 20-mile-per-hour borough for a couple of years, whilst they've seen an increase actually in collisions between cyclists and traffic, the number of serious injuries and deaths has reduced significantly. So I think there are things that we're doing right across the piece to address this.
And I'm going to open it to the floor in just a moment, but Susie Measure, I'm not quite sure how her surname is pronounced, says, how will you enforce the 20-mile-per-hour speed limit?
Well, you know, to be honest with you, the police have said it's not something that we will do. Borough Commander is here, and I think he probably would confirm that for me. But what we can do is try and change people's behaviour, and programmes of education and signs really do make a difference. They do slow people down. You know, if you see 20 marked on the ground or on a sign, then you will slow traffic. It does slow traffic down. That's demonstrated to have an impact. So I think the fact of having a 20-mile-per-hour zone is going to benefit us.
Okay, questions from the floor now on health and the environment. Lady at the back in the grey, I think it is. Hello.
Hello. It's Penny Himvers from the Trinity Newington Residents Association. I have a question very specifically about quiet ways. We would ask you that you would consider alternatives to the proposed route. We welcome it to our estate, but we believe there are safety issues with the current plan. It is being rushed through at speed, and alternatives are not being properly considered. We would like your confirmation that the proposal to remove and replace with bollards will not go ahead, which is what our councillors all agreed when they were elected. It's what Neil Coyle has agreed. We think there are better ways, and we would like those properly looked at, and we would like your confirmation that this will happen.
Thank you very much, Penny. Can you respond to that?
Okay, well, Penny, I think that representatives of your organisation met with Mark earlier this week to discuss that very issue. And what I can confirm, obviously, is that we're looking at how, you know, a non-bollards approach can be implemented. You know, it is important that, you know, we do have safe cycling routes in our borough as part of sort of the ambition for London and to make cycling safe in London. But clearly that can't be at the expense of you know, danger to residents and their daily movements. But I know that's something that's being looked at, and I absolutely promise that you know, no decision will be made you know, without further consultation and reviewing what's going on.
Okay, you heard it here. You will get the consultation, so keep your voices being heard. Let's go to this side. We're on health and environment. The gentleman in the striped shirt in the second row, could you pass the microphone along to him?
My name is Anthony Mbanugo. I'm from Aylesbury Estate, Burgess Park area. Now, maybe there might be a new law coming on that people should stop smoking in the parks, you know, most of our parks. Are you going to enforce it, you know?
Okay, in fact, that was a question that also came in from Kate Samuelson about what's the plan of action rebanning smoking in Southwark parks. Okay,
well, I mean, that came out of the London Health Commission, chaired by Lord Darzai, which reported last week, and he proposed that smoking in parks should be banned. I tweeted, much to the annoyance of some of my colleagues, that I thought it was a good idea. So I've learned my lesson, and that will no, the point is, what are we trying to do here? They're equivalent of 2 classroomfuls of kids who start smoking each week in London. That's not acceptable. We want, you know, to see smoking absolutely reduced and sort of the acceptability of smoking reduced. We might not, in the first stage, go to a ban in parks, but I think one step that we can take, and which I think surely must be uncontroversial, is to ban smoking in children's play areas, in parks and on our housing estates. And that's something we could do with a bylaw and something we could enforce as a council. And I think that's a sensible first step. You know, children should not see people smoking and think this is acceptable behaviour. It is a health risk, and one of the big problems that we have and one of the health challenges we have in our borough is smoking. Anything we can do to reduce that has to be a good thing.
So that's something you will carry forward?
Yeah.
Okay. The lady there.
My name is Elaine Joseph. I run a charity called II Child. I pay £79 for swimming every school holiday.
Yeah.
Because of the reduction in swimming in schools, with this is the only opportunity now that many children have to go swimming.
What's your question, Mark?
My question is it possible that you could ask Camberwell Leisure Centre to give us a reduction?
Okay.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, you know, we're looking at the ultimate reduction, making it free. But one of the things that I'm seriously discussing with colleagues is whether actually we will make swimming free for all children under 16, for instance, as part of the free swimming and gym use offer. And I think that would answer your suggestion pretty well, and hopefully we can bring that in sooner rather than later.
Okay, I'm going to have to move on, take a couple more. The gentleman in the second or third row wearing the suit again, please keep your question to the point.
My name is Fred Anin. I represent the voluntary sector on HIV and health issues in Southwark. My question that I want to put up today is, with HIV, we have a situation which is not resolved because it hasn't got any cure to it. So what we're doing is continuously campaigning against the stigma attached to it, and also letting people know that HIV is there so they can be able to pay a lot of precaution in their behavioral life. And my question that I want to put up is, every one of us know even what is happening now in West Africa about the Ebola disease. We have come to a point that when things begin to escalate... I
need your help, sir. Please ask a question.
I will ask,
I really need your help.
I will ask my question. I will ask my question. But what I'm saying is that we have come to a place when things begin to escalate, then there's panic all over the community. So now what I'm saying is that how are you going to put some mechanism on the ground to support organizations that are working hard to, encourage people to live a good behavioral life?
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, look, I mean, there is work which goes on in public health, and I know that, different groups dealing with different communities and supporting different communities are funded through our public health funds right now. But it's a job of work that we can't be complacent about. I absolutely accept that, and something that we need to redouble our efforts on. As I talked about, the high, prevalence of HIV in our borough, second only to Lambeth in the country. So, thank you for the work that you are doing and your group is doing, and long may that continue. And as I say, we do have to carry on that work of education because, people's habits have changed, and people do think, oh, it's not a life-threatening
How much
risk
support,
anymore.
though, are you offering organisations like this who are working on the ground, often with very little funding?
Yeah, well, there is funding there, and we spend something in the region of £7 million a year on sexual health in Southwark, out of a total budget of about £20 million. So a big proportion of what we spend goes on sexual health, which obviously covers HIV within it. So, there's money as well as warm words.
Okay, gosh, this is a very popular... The lady in the red along this row, just to help me, please keep your question really succinct.
Right. Hi, I'm Neve Carr. I'm 15 and I'm a GCSE student. My question concerns child obesity. What are you going to do to fix it? Because I'm sure that 1 hour a week of PE for school students isn't really going to help the situation. So what are you going to do? Yeah.
Really good question, Neve. And it's one of the reasons why we introduced free healthy school meals over the past 4 years for all our primary school children. It's really about changing the way people eat and they approach their diet from the earliest age. And that needs to go with public health work as well, you know, talking to families about obesity. It's why we're introducing free swim and gym use, you know, to try and tackle that issue of obesity. It's absolutely right, you're absolutely right. The levels of obesity in our borough are simply too high. And, you know, but we are doing things, we are taking steps, positive steps, I think, to try and tackle it. You know, some of it needs to work its way through the system yet to see what the impact is, but we are working actively.
Okay, the gentleman right at the back. This is the final question I'll take on this. I'll also refer to some of the emails that have come through. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon, actually, and that is a fair comment, but I have pointed to him, and then I'll come over here and take two very quick questions. Okay, sir, very quickly.
I'm Barry Silverman. I want to know how you're going to protect older people, those like me walking with a stick. The pavements are in a disgraceful state. 20 miles an hour speed limit with a car is not it may be one thing, but what about the pavements?
Okay.
And do you recognise that old people and cycles on pavements do not go together?
Yeah.
If we fall, there is a health cost, apart from broken limbs and damaged lives.
Yeah. And I think that's a really, really valid point as someone who actually walks and hates cyclists on the on the path. I can't bear it. I'm sorry, cyclists. If you're on the path, you shouldn't be on the path. You'll get my evil eye. But actually, attendant to that, and I will come to this side in just a moment, someone has said, why are the streets covered in dog poo, which may, of course, apply as well, and where have all our trees gone? So actually...
Okay, well, right.
Just throwing you
so
in
just,
the
just,
deep
to
end
chuck,
there.
just to chuck them in at the end.
Just to chuck it all in.
Well,
it's just about walking safely.
I can tell you, as you know, a stato fact of the day, there are over 90,000 trees in Southwark, Jamaica. Did you know that? And we have, as a council, we have responsibility for over half of them. In answer to, and in terms of dog mess, actually, our stats show that 4 years ago, 7% of our pavements had dog poo on them. Now it's 3%. You know, what do these stats mean? I mean, they're meaningless if you've got dog poo on your street. Clear up your dog poo if you take your dog for a walk. I mean, that is the #1 message. And as colleagues will confirm, you don't have to put dog poo in a special place. It can go into your waste, you know, because it's biodegradable, all that kind of stuff, isn't it? Is that right? Yeah. Barry. Yeah, but it doesn't need to go in a special bin. That was the point I was making. Barry, can I just address your point, because that's really important. One of the commitments we made in May was to make Southwark an age-friendly borough, and I think that'd be the first age-friendly borough in the country. And exactly the sort of things that you were talking about, the condition of our pavements is one of those things that would make us an age-friendly borough, taking account of those factors. We are spending more on our streets and on our pavements. We've deliberately taken the decision to put more. We're spending something like £27 million over the next 3 years on our roads and pavements to try and overcome some of the problems that you have identified. So we do recognise it as an issue. We are committed, as I say, to becoming an age-friendly borough and to make all of our streets safe for all of our residents.
Okay.
Yeah, cyclists on pavements. Well, I mean, you know, our wardens do issue fixed penalty notices. I don't know whether the police can issue fixed penalty notices. They can. There we are. So, yeah, there's no excuse for it, and cyclists beware. And they do work, you know. They do have a deterrent effect.
Okay. This gentleman here again, please, a very tight question for me.
Peter John, I know you a long time.
Yeah.
Too long, actually.
Okay.
Okay, and the question,
the question is, these cyclists on pavements, why aren't they wearing, even on the road, cyclists not wearing their helmets? Why not?
Okay.
And everybody who cycles on the pavement should be fined.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so, I mean, I think we've kind of covered this cyclist issue. You and I are on the same page. I'm going to take one from there, and then I have to move on. So I'm sorry if you wanted to join in this segment, but we are seriously running out of time. A tight question for me,
I'm Georgi Labunin, cartoonist from Brazilian News. Will be renovation, or will be developing of College of Communication on Elephant and Castle, their possibility or not?
Will there be development on the College of Communication side? I don't know is the answer. The London College of Communication obviously own their site. I haven't had any contact with them about any development that they might be undertaking. You know, I can't say that they won't. They might well do, given what's going on around them at the Elephant and Castle, but they certainly haven't come and spoken to me about it. So.
Okay, thank you very much for all those questions. Apologies once again if I didn't manage to get you into that conversation. We're moving now on to housing and management. So housing management, that is the subject we're going to be concentrating on. Clemency on Twitter asks, what's the plan to up the quality of major works in Southwark?
Well, good question. I mean, the fact is that there's a lot of major works going on in our borough, and that's thanks to our commitment in the last 4 years to make every council home warm, dry and safe. From 2016 onwards, we've got our commitment to deliver a quality kitchen and bathroom for all residents. But I recognise that there sometimes are issues in the way in which that is delivered. You know, the best thing that people can do if they're not satisfied is to get in touch with the council, get in touch with me and my colleagues so that we can ensure the quality of works is really good. There's no reason why, when we as a council are spending a lot of money, when we're asking leaseholders to spend a lot of money on major works to their properties, why they should be anything less than excellent.
Okay. What does the kitchen guarantee actually mean, asks Ryan Cash. Will new kitchens be installed?
In the vast majority of properties, I think that will mean that. You know, if you've had a new kitchen in the last few years, and that can happen because when a property becomes void or vacant, a new kitchen and bathroom might well be installed as part of, you know, the renovations to hand over to a new tenant. So, you know, if you've got a new kitchen or bathroom in the last few years, chances are you might not get another one. But otherwise, if your kitchen's there sort of 20, 30 years old, as many are in lots of our properties, you'll be getting a new kitchen and bathroom under this new programme. This is a multi-billion-pound commitment. You know, and something I'm incredibly proud of that we're going to be delivering over the 5 years from 2016.
Someone has asked, why has housing repairs changed time frame for urgent repairs, such as a block drain, from 3 to 5 working days to a new, much longer period of 20 working days?
Okay, that's quite a specific one, and I don't know that I have the answer for that on block drains in particular, but I mean, what we are trying to do is manage our repairs in a sensible way so that those jobs which really do need priority are prioritised. I'd be surprised if it was a block drain which was affecting the property in a particularly adverse way if it wasn't being treated as an emergency repair. But there are going to be instances where, you know, we are trying to prioritise those repairs that are genuine emergencies, you know, to be dealt with as quickly as possible.
Okay. Questions on housing management. Any questions? The lady at the back there. I'll start on this side. Thank you.
Hello. I'm just inquiring about the warmer, drier, safer scheme. In one of the areas in Southwark, which is Montague Square, I know that the tenants there are being asked to pay, for a one-bedroom flat, £12,000. And the person I'm actually talking about, his salary is £18,000. That's 2/3 of his annual salary, and it's a one-bedroom flat. And so the question is why, you know, it seems like he's paying a lot over the odds for this, because for the size of his flat, he could get it a lot cheaper than £12,000 for the same quality.
Okay.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's a common complaint, isn't it, that, you know, why am I having to pay so much money for, you know, the works that are being done to my property? I mean, what I can say to you is that I'm actually absolutely determined, and my colleagues are absolutely determined, and we have been over the last 4 years plus, to drive real value for money out of the major works that are going on in our properties around the borough. But what I can say to your friend who's a leaseholder is that, you know, there are schemes in place which will not mean that he has to find that £12,000 all in one lump sum, that he can pay it back over a pretty extended period of time, or he can simply add it as a charge with fairly low interest onto his property. So we have, you know, really taken steps to make it easier for people to pay back, because £12,000, that sounds a lot, but there are people, might be people in this room who are facing bills considerably more than that for the major works of their properties. But, you know, the value for money point is not lost on us. You know, one of the mantras that we have in the council is, you know, treating every penny that we spend as if it's coming from our own pockets. And that really is something that, you know, we take very seriously, and it's something that we need to carry on doing, because people do need to feel that they're getting, you know, a value for money product at the end, whatever service we're providing.
Okay, I'm going to take another question there. Are there any questions on housing management from this side of the room? One at the back. Sir, I'm not ignoring you. I will come to you straight after that lady. Is that all right? I've noted it. Thank you very much. This lady here in the red top, red and black top.
Hi, the council talks about keeping down spend on major works and service charges. So why is it that council are spending 3.8 million on borough-wide underground piping work when they're actually demolishing the Aylesbury estate?
Okay, it's a very specific question.
That's on the Aylesbury. Well, look, the reason why we're spending money on the heating system on the Aylesbury is because the heating system on the Aylesbury had come to the end of its life, and we are still, you know, even though the Aylesbury estate will be regenerated, people are still going to be living in homes on the Aylesbury, their current homes, for up to 15 years. You cannot expect people to live in homes for 15 years without a heating system that works, and we know historically that the heating system on the Aylesbury has been incredibly unreliable. So that's why the chief executive and I went along 18 months ago and made that commitment. I think it was the right commitment, because otherwise, if we hadn't made that commitment, you'd be asking the question, why are you letting people on the Aylesbury living in cold conditions without hot water? So I think it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. We're going to have to move on. I am going to, this gentleman here who has his hand up, you have been noted, sir. The microphone is coming to you. Please keep your question tight for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Gerald Anderson. I was the secretary of the Brimington estate up until yesterday. For the past year, I've been walking around that estate with the contractors, have pointed out major works that needed done, as well as repair works. And none of that, well, not say none of it, 3/4 of that is still not been repaired, where they've marked the pavements to be repaired, the guttering.
And your question,
And
sir?
my question is also, why is it takes that long when they say there's cutbacks, and when tenants ring up the call centre, there's a half hour to a 40-minute wait?
Okay.
Why is that?
All right.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't accept that it's a half hour to 40-minute wait. There are occasional instances where there's huge traffic going into the call centre where you might wait longer than we would like. But at the point that you've made about major works on the Brimington estate, my colleague Richard Livingston here has responsibility for housing. He's picked that point up, and maybe he can make contact with you either after today or later on this evening.
Okay, well, we're going to move on now. Thank you very much for all your questions on the floor. I will come to you again after this next section, which is about supporting families. Now, I think it's Ollie Kingdom from Twitter says, how come youth services and voluntary sector grants have shrunk when our youth population and youth issues have increased?
Yeah. I mean, the reality of the situation is, Jamoki, that Southwark, like every council in the country, has faced really major financial challenges over the last 4 years, budget cuts from central government. We've had to take something like 90 million plus out of our budget in the last 4 years. We're going to have to take another 30 million plus out this year. And that has meant we've had to go to every department in the council and say, please offer up some savings. Now, actually what's happened in our youth service is whilst the budget has effectively halved, and that's the reality, we're actually reaching nearly double the number of young people that we were in 2009 through our youth services now. Right. So actually, we've cut what we're spending, but actually the service we're providing are reaching more people, and we've invested capital into our youth clubs and centres for young people. So actually, it's kind of a good news story that we're making less go further, we're doing more with less.
Soulboy on Twitter says, why compel the poorest people in the borough to pay council tax when other councils find fairer alternatives?
Okay, well, this is obviously about the fact that the government took away council tax benefit from those who had previously received it. And we, with the vast majority of other councils in the country, were forced to pass that on to, as the questioner says, some of the poorest residents in our borough. But we have put in place financial schemes to support people in financial hardship, particularly through council tax and their inability to pay the council tax. And what I do say to people is, you know, if you get letters from the council about your council tax, don't ignore them. Don't wait until the summons turns up. You know, there's a sympathetic ear at the end of the phone who will help you sort your finances out. And we have, as I say, put emergency support schemes in place for people who face those difficulties. As I say, it's a tough time for councils. We've had to take so much out of our budget, a quarter of our budget in the last 4 years, and that's going to continue, whoever the government is, after next May. But, you know, the reality is we do have to pass that charge on to people.
Okay. Supporting families. Questions for supporting families in the borough? Oh, first time we've had no hands. None? No. Oh, no, one hand there. I beg your pardon, ma'am. Right at the back.
It's in relation to education. I'm speaking on behalf of the parent steering group that have led a campaign for more secondary school places in the south of the borough. And given local concerns over the lack of secondary school places in the south, can you reassure parents by outlining the measures the council will take to limit any planning conditions for the Dulwich Hospital site so it can only be used for a much-needed health provision, and if a school is approved in January, a much-needed secondary school with adequate space? We touched on childhood obesity and the need for school sports, and a key aspect of the local concern is that children will be squeezed into a secondary school with inadequate outdoor provision.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, really, really good question. And can I say to you, Catherine, thank you very much indeed for all the work that you have done leading the parents' campaign for a new secondary school in East Dulwich. And, you know, I hope that both the bids that have gone in from the sponsors will be successful, because they both deserve to be successful. But what are we doing with the particular Dulwich Hospital site? Well, the most recent document that the council had in terms of planning document is the Dulwich supplementary planning document, and the designation that that gave to the hospital site firstly was for health use, secondary for school use, third I can't remember, and then fourth down the list community use, and then fourthly I think was housing. So there's some pretty significant protection in place already with what we have in the Dulwich SPD. But only yesterday we approved as a cabinet the new Southwark plan, draft plan. And in terms of the Dulwich Hospital site, we've designated that as for health use in the first instance, because we know the NHS still want to carry on some health use on the site, but secondly, for a secondary school on the site. So we couldn't be any clearer in terms of our designation. And I know from talking to Vicky Mills, who leads on education and schools in the Cabinet, that, you know, there are good conversations going on between the Education Funding Agency and the NHS about making that site available for education. What we have to make sure, of course, is that it is for a secondary school which has the support of the local community. We have the rather ludicrous situation at the moment that the DFE approved a primary school for Nunhead and are looking at the Dulwich Hospital site to deliver that. And that plan for a primary school in Nunhead did not have community support. It did not have community backing, in absolutely stark contrast to both campaigns for a secondary school on that site. So I really do hope that the DFE listen to what we're saying as a council, to the protection that we've tried to give that site for a secondary school in our borough, because we really do need a secondary school there. We really do need the places. And don't go ahead and deliver and try and deliver a primary school on that site. That just wouldn't be to anyone's advantage.
Okay. Any other questions? Sorry, did I see a hand at the back? Yes, right in the middle. Someone is coming to you. So we are currently on supporting families. Did you not put your hand up, sir? Oh, not for supporting families, okay. Let's hope you do support families, yeah. But, you know, there's I can't see a gentleman or lady in the back, right there. Yes, right at the back there. Sorry, I can't see where, oh yes, now I can.
Hello, good evening. I would just like to ask John Peter about the families who have got their adult children and the parents are going to be old and disabled. When are the council making some bigger houses or bigger places to be together, the family, to look after their old parents?
Okay, well, I mean, look, part of the new council housing that we're delivering is, large family units, and, that's an essential element of our plans, as well as extra care housing for those older people who are on their own and don't have families around to support them. It's in much demand. We have sheltered housing, but then there's a stage of housing, for people perhaps with dementia who need some form of assisted living which is beyond sheltered housing. So extra care housing is something which we are delivering on as part of our 11,000 new council homes, and as an early part of those plans. In fact, we're on site, I think, to deliver some extra care housing.
Okay, there's a question in the front here, please, and then I think we're going to move on to community safety, which I think it will be an issue we need to talk about. One there and one there.
Yes, I'm Councillor Adele Morris, Deputy Leader of the Opposition Group. I just wanted to ask, obviously we've got a huge programme of house building, not just the council homes, but all of the homes, and the ladies touched on the schools issue. What can the council do to protect some of the land that the council owns for the development of schools that will be needed in the future at some point? Because we've already got all the bulge classes probably that we can take in existing schools. And how are you going to square the circle between using land to build houses on and retaining land to build the schools that we're going to need? How are you going to manage that?
Thank you for that question.
Across the borough, by the way. Across the whole borough.
Well, absolutely right, Adele, and I think that it's absolutely right that we do take that holistic view of the provisions that we need, because, we can't just carry on building housing ad infinitum without the support services that they need and the facilities that people need. So, we absolutely recognise that as an issue. And, for instance, when we're talking about developments at somewhere like Canada Water, where we're going to see increased housing, increased, activity there, the provision of a school being central to, the delivery of new housing at Canada Water. So we are looking at sites. And certainly, given, we know the pressure on land in our borough, we as a council are not just going to give up a piece of land if we think it can be used by us or for a school, as a for instance. But it's also true of our partners, the GLA family, and what the land that they own across our borough and what we can do with that to help answer some of those problems, and the NHS. So it's all, everyone really ensuring that land is not disposed of from public ownership, if there can be a really good public use for it. Okay.
Last question on supporting families from this gentleman there.
Hello, Peter. It's Neil White from Southwark Pensioners Centre. I wanted to ask you a question about vulnerable and isolated older adults. There was a report on Radio 4 a couple of weeks ago by a charity called Independent Age, which pointed out that people are living longer, which is good, but particularly men were living longer now than they have done ever. And men, unlike women, tend to not be in support networks, and I wondered what the council was thinking about doing, supporting vulnerable and isolated older adults, particularly men.
Thank you.
Really good question, and I feel like something of an expert on this because I was at the Dulwich Helpline and Southwark Churches Care AGM on Monday, where the Chief Executive of Independent Age was present and talking about this exact issue. And I think it really is, Neil, a question of us working with the voluntary sector to help provide support to our residents. There's stuff that we can do as a council and as a landlord to ensure that people are not living isolated lives. But there's stuff that we can do together with the voluntary sector. And so that's why I'm really pleased that we've got the Early Action Commission, which is looking at the whole issue of the role of the voluntary sector in Southwark over the next few years, and in particular with regard to the integration of health and adult social care. Which I think is absolutely vital. We're doing some leading work in Southwark on the integration of health and adult social care, but the voluntary sector, shouldn't be forgotten in that. We shouldn't think that, the council and the NHS have the answers to this. The voluntary sector are a key partner in delivering these services to our particularly vulnerable and isolated residents. So, really good issue for you to raise, and it's something, as I say, it's part of our age-friendly borough issue as well that we want to ensure that we've got everyone covered. And you know, Dora Dixon-File, who leads on this for us as a council, is not going to let us, you know, forget this as an issue at all.
Okay, we're going to have to move on now because we're running out of time. We're moving on to community safety, so if you have any questions around that, I'll try and fit in as many as I can once I've gone through the emails and texts that I have here. So Tom from Stand Up Southwark says, we at SUS feel that it is important for the police to work together with other partners to combat and prevent hate crime and other crime against people with a learning disability. Can we be assured that crime and hate crime against people with a learning disability are among Southwark Police Force's priorities?
Well, I can't answer for the police force, but I know a man who can, and I'm sure that the borough commander would say, yeah, you know, there would be zero tolerance on any hate crime in our borough. And that's certainly the council's position, and I'm absolutely convinced it's the police's position as well.
Okay, and can the council look into installing more street lights? Tom goes on to say, my neighbourhood is not very well lit. I don't feel safe walking in these areas at night.
Yeah, it's always something that we do look at. We have a really good street lighting you know, a provision in our borough, and it's something that residents can bid into our Cleaner, Greener, Safer fund for as well, and local councillors can make a decision about where street lighting goes. But if there's a particular area and there are particular crime concerns there, we can certainly look at it in any event.
Okay, I'm going to take questions finally on community safety. Hands for that. I will come all the way around. I'll start over here. Gentleman in the blue. Oh.
Hi.
No,
yeah.
no, yes, yeah.
All right. Yeah, just a quick question. It's something which affects all of us in the borough. It's about fire safety. As we know, Southwark is quite a large, wide community, and we've gone down from 4 fire stations to 2. The former fire station over at Southwark, the training ground, is up for redevelopment, which the mayor has put a block against anything which the community can go against. What my question is from the community, we desperately need safeguards against the increased risks that we're in today. Can the council work with the fire brigade and secure the fire station to either turn it into an education ground to begin with, or a museum, but ultimately, if with the amount of building which is going on over the next few years with social housing, which is quite a high risk for fire, to then it could be brought back into service.
Okay.
A lot of people around support this, and it's from borough councils.
Okay. Thank you for your question. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, we as a council took a pretty hard line against the closure of the fire station, together with colleagues at the GLA, and Val Shawcross is sitting here. And we took the mayor to judicial review over his decision to close fire stations, albeit unsuccessfully. But, I mean, one thing I did hear the other day was that the fire station site had been put forward for a free school, in a free school application recently. Now, we were talking about the use of public land earlier on, and, you know, why not? Why not have a school on that site? I mean, you know, I think, as I say, where you've got a public piece of land and public facility, you know, only very sparingly should we be losing it to private use. But absolutely, you have my support on that.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure as many people can ask, but thank you very much for your question. There's a gentleman right at the front here. Again, if you could keep the question tight, then I can take as many questions on this as possible. What is your question, sir?
Hi, my name is Burchak, and I'm one of the advocates for Speaking Up Southwark.
Yeah.
Why there, Peter John, why are there cuts in the police force and you're taking a lot of them off the street? I had to sign quite a few petitions today and the other week as well.
Okay, thank you very much for that very clear
Okay,
question.
well, it's not my decision. If it was my decision, we wouldn't be taking police off the streets, and I'm a great advocate for neighbourhood policing. It's the mayor's decision, and that's why we as a council are saying please sign our petition so that we can tell the mayor that we want more police in Southwark. And I see lots of my colleagues with police campaign stickers on this evening. So it's not my decision. If it were, we wouldn't be losing police.
Okay, gentleman in the middle there. I will come back. Gentleman in the middle there.
My name is Francis
from Lance and Beaton Street, TRA. Yeah, my question is actually concerning housing maintenance, but it's linked to security as well and safety. Yeah, Southwark Council has lots of old houses, outdated houses, and we discovered that most of the houses are 3 floors, 4 floors, no lift, and nothing has been done about it. Recently, I
Sir,
saw...
can you just get to, would you mind just asking the question? It's just I want to make sure that we get in as many people as possible.
Okay, yeah. I want to know what the council is doing to improve the lift situation in blocks of flats with 3 to 4 floors without any lift.
Okay.
And they are increasing the rent every year without doing any improvement in the main
So
property.
they spend more money, but they have no lifts.
Well, I think it's absolutely right that we're sort of doing that. We are trying to look after our properties, and we're making all properties warm, dry and safe. There are going to be some properties, sadly, sir, where we can't install lifts even with the best will in the world. But I don't know the block you're talking about, a particular block. But again, I'm going to ask my colleague Richard Livingston to come back to you with an answer on that. But certainly we have installed lifts in the past in blocks where it's possible to do that.
Okay, there's a lady there. Ma'am, I'm looking at you.
Hello. I'm going on to a slightly different thing of community safety there, and I'm quite in agreement with you that things like fire stations should not be closed. I felt very unsafe when that was put there. But also, on the actual bobbies on the beat, if you like, I've always felt fairly safe within Southwark because I've been sensible, not going out at the midnight wandering the streets. But I come back to my own estate, and people are obviously feeling unsafe.
Unsafe, okay.
If we can get maybe more discussion on this so that maybe against the wishes of our mayor to actually hide the figures,
Right.
which I'm sure he's doing.
Okay, I think it's very clear that there is a lot of, again, it's a very big issue for us.
Yeah.
As somebody who wanders around at midnight.
Can I just say, though,
Which I do.
You do.
I do, I wander around a lot at midnight, I feel very safe.
Can I just say that, Jamoke, in response to that, I mean, I think that there is a difference between actual crime levels and fear of crime, and I'm sure that any police officer speaking now would say actually crime is reducing, and violent crime is reducing in our borough. But obviously what we did see with neighbourhood policing and the fact of having dedicated police teams in every ward was that feeling of security, that there was that Bobby on the beat. And even though crime levels were falling, you had that sense of security, which I think is so important, and we mustn't lose that.
Okay, very quickly, sir.
Me, Anthony Mbanugo again, living in Asbury. I'm just trying to say, we have so many bookies and, things in our borough. Council keep issuing a lot of them. That's why crime is actually quite high, in our neighborhoods.
So is your question around
why are we issuing so much,
Well, look, it's not our choice to have bookmakers in our borough any more than it's to have payday lenders in our borough on our high street. There are too many of them, and we, along with other councils, are petitioning the government to say, give us the powers so we can get rid of bookmakers and payday lenders from our high streets. There are just too many of them. When our own planning committee turned down a bookmaker on Tower Bridge Road, of course, the bookmaker appealed and got consent in that way over the head of the local council, over and above us as a local council. So, these bookmakers are really determined, but, they're not welcome in our borough in the numbers that we have.
Okay. I'm going to take a couple more questions. Actually, oops, can we go to the lady there with the... with the great hair.
Okay, Agnes Kabuto lives on the Ellsbury estate.
Can you just point the microphone towards you, Mark?
I just wanted to find out from Peter John what he's going to do about squatters that have moved in on the Ellsbury estate.
Okay, thank you. That's a very clear
and
question.
there is no lighting.
Okay. Well, look, squatters shouldn't be living on the estate, and I would assume that we are taking action to get them out as quickly as possible. So, you know, they might be there today, but hopefully they won't be there much longer. We have pretty zero tolerance to squatting.
Okay, I think we are going to... Oh, no, there's one... Is this... Actually, there's a lady behind. So you've asked the question once, but this lady behind hasn't. I'm going to take that question, and then I think we're going to bring it to a... You've been putting your hand up? Okay, you will be the last person then. Ma'am. You've already asked one question, sir.
Hello, my name is Emily. I live in Rotherhithe. We actually met once just before you get elected. My question is, I would say my issue is, I live in Rotherhithe at the back. Don't know how to explain. And what happened is, I got an issue. My van has been stolen. I had some stories about happening.
I really need a question at this point.
No, yeah, I'm just giving a bit of background.
I know you want to give context, but what is the question?
My question is, when you've got an issue and you actually speak to the police, because I had to go to the community council to get the police coming to my flat.
Yeah.
When they came, they're lovely guys, but they actually told me that they're not really coming around where I live because it's so quiet that there's only old people living there. They're not coming around.
So your question is?
So if the police can't come around because it's so quiet, but there's still things happening.
So, ma'am, I'm just sorry. Is it you have discontent with the police or the way you've been treated? What is the question?
No, it's not the way I've been treated. It's actually they can't do nothing. What should I do? How should I not panic? What should I do?
I tell you what, you know, the Borough Police Command is here, and we'll try and... we will... I'm not going to expect him to come and patrol your street.
He'll probably come round your house.
But what I will do is try and make sure that we get an answer as to why you're dissatisfied with the police response in this particular instance.
I'm sorry
I wasn't suggesting he should become the neighbourhood, you know, warden for that bit of Rotherhithe. Although Rotherhithe is a fantastic ward, may we say that?
Can I, just the final question
Labour
to this
ward.
lady here.
My name is Maureen, and I'm from the Windham and Comber TRA. And crossing by Windham and Camberwell Road, that light is blue murder. And also the trees, can it be cut regular?
Yeah.
Really regular, because tree root up and kill people, even in Southwark, innit? So please, please.
Okay.
Can I hold you to that?
Well, Councillor Darren Merrill is in charge of trees, and he's heard that, and he's going to sort it out.
Well, I hope it will be done.
And he might well come and cut it down himself. He's that kind of guy.
Well, you heard it here. I'm so sorry. We're going to have to finish it. So you've already asked one question.
Local and international question. My first was such a fast answer.
Yeah, no, sir, I really have to leave it there. I'm really sorry. But the councillor will be...
Yeah. Go on, if it's world importance.
All right, okay, if it's world importance, you better prove that it's right. What is the question?
If it's more important than the light on Windham and Comber, I gotta,
What, sir, can you speak into the microphone? Where one of my, Sir, can you ask, yes.
Sorry. Will be Piazza Navona or Montmartre in our area? Will be a safety place for artists and musicians to work? This is all.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, really good question, because we are doing something to encourage the artistic community and making disused council resources available for artists to use. And the first one is going to be in Camberwell at Sedgemoor Place. So, you know, really positive answer to a really direct question.
Okay. We'll have to leave it there, but how was your first public leaders question time? How was it for you?
Well, it was great for me. I hope it was great for all of you. I mean, that's the issue. Can I just give my little peroration, because I say it every meeting I go to, but I genuinely believe it, and I think tonight has underlined it. Southwark, without doubt, is the best borough in London. London is the best city in the UK, and the UK is the best country in the world. So tonight you've been at the first Leaders' Public Question Time in the best place in the world. What more could you want?
Please thank Councillor Peter John. Don't forget, you can tweet and ask Peter John or get your questions in if you didn't manage to get them in. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamoki. That was great.
Well done.